Hey folks, how you doing tonight? Welcome to the Generational Gap. I'm Robert, your resident Gen Xer, and over there we've got John, your resident millennial. John, how are you doing
Hello.
tonight?
Doing all right. My right testicle is dangling a little bit lower than my left, so
Why do you
kind of
think that
concerning.
is?
But probably just a difference in temperature. I don't
Nothing to
know.
do with Valentine's Day?
Uh, it could be. Could be. Speaking of that, how was your Valentine's Day? Would you and the missus get up to?
Nothing really. We went and sat in a pizza place and shared a pie.
Got
Um,
that married life going?
well, we're not as hopped up on Valentine's Day as everybody else is because we kind of love each other all the time.
Nah,
and
that's
we
gay
and
though.
we and we show it, in different ways all the time.
Yeah.
So we figure, setting one day aside to play that up. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
don't
love.
I don't love
Yeah.
Valentine's Day. It's not. It's one of those days where it's just like, really, this is how you this is how you have to know that I care about you, is that I show it on this one day. You don't want me to
Yeah.
just show it all the time.
No.
you
Well,
know.
because love is gay, so you just set
Yeah,
aside
you
one
know.
day where it's not.
I gave Rachel a great big rock for Valentine's Day. Midget B. Now,
Are
by
you over there
rock,
smoking crack now? I
does he
mean, come
does
on,
he
man.
mean he
Don't be
got
smoking crack out there.
engaged? Midget, did you
No,
pop the
he's been
question?
married.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
It's a fucking kidney
It's
stone.
it's a nice. So
Yeah.
then it wouldn't be very big. Those are usually kind of small comparatively.
Well, I mean, I wasn't gonna out her, but since she did that herself, it apparently is very big. I was talking to Midget B, I think on Thursday
Well, big in
about it.
relation to kidney
How
stones.
normal, right? How they normally are. Yeah.
They're just, yeah, it's like a fucking grain of sand causing so much pain.
Yeah. It's apparently a
Yeah,
lot larger than that. I mean, not that I want to get into too much detail,
it's very
but yeah,
big.
it is a great big rock.
Wow. Yeah, I don't even, you know what? We shouldn't even talk about it anymore because I start squirming just thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't want to. I don't want to know about that.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate. I've never had one.
TMI alert! TMI alert!
Yeah,
So
fuck that.
yeah? So I don't know the whole commercialism of Valentine's Day and that mindset is just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It it's kind of like this. I It made me think this year and last year about this new thing that they're doing in high school now, promposals.
Oh yeah.
My my stepdaughter had this happen to her in her senior year. The boyfriend came over and like put up all these lights, said prom on it, and
Wow.
had her all dressed up and brought or got her to the backyard. He was all dressed up and asked her out to prom, and I'm like, all I'm thinking in my head is, okay, you're her boyfriend.
Yeah, pretty sure that's a given.
You're pretty much, you better be taking her to the prom. That's,
Right.
you need to propose the prom. And then the dark part of my mind kicked in, and I thought, this is the way that these guys can get out of having to worry about getting married to some chick. They get a proposal out of the way, so they've given her some
Right.
shining moment, and then they're like, oh, okay, I can just beat feet. I don't have to. I don't have to marry
Yeah.
her. I can give her this promposal. Like,
No, I mean, I
really?
guarantee she saw it somewhere online and was like, "You better do this or you don't love me." And he's like, "God damn it! All right, fine."
Yeah, it's
I remember those days.
um, it's like promposals and Tide Pods, because that was the big thing. Is
Jesus.
you ask somebody out to the prom and you video it and post it on Facebook
Hmm.
and YouTube, and I'm like, all right, whatever. You're just trying to, okay. You're just trying to
Yeah.
get your 15 minutes of fame in. That's not.
Right, but so is everyone else at the same time.
Yeah. But hey, we've got one day a year where you can go and buy some, chocolate from last year and
Yeah.
and give it to the person you love so that they know for sure that you care.
And you got to give your side chick some leftover Halloween candy.
Right? Isn't that
You know.
sad? Sorry, this is only one of two fun-sized things you're gonna get.
That's right. Yeah.
See, Valentine's Day is like fake news. That's what it
Oh
is.
yeah. It's one of those Hallmark holidays.
Hey, speaking of fake news, before we jump into any serious topics, we've talked a little bit about generated news. So,
Mm.
did you happen to catch the cute little story about AOC? They're calling her out for giving her boyfriend a what was it, a
Yeah.
house address, email address?
Yeah. It was a
Uh,
house.gov account.
right.
Yeah.
But this is a common thing that happens with significant others, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. It's not uncommon at all. I mean, it's mainly just so that he can access her calendar. Like that's it. But there's been a whole bunch of manufactured outrage about it.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. It's kind of like that manufactured outrage over the high school video, music video, dance video she did. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, you know what?
It's like who cares? Yeah. No one
It,
gives a fuck.
if you expect she's going to put her foot in her mouth, wait for those moments.
Yeah. Let her do
Don't,
it herself. She
don't,
doesn't need help.
right? They're like blowing these little dribbly loads over stupid shit.
Yeah, and which discredits like all the actual shit, that you could actually criticize her on.
It's like I
There's a
actually
lot of that.
it's like I told you they should have just they should have come out and made it an article about her living in sin. It's
Right.
not a spouse, it's a boyfriend. They are living in
Oh no.
sin. Intellectual honesty is a valuable thing.
Yeah, it's
Costly
definitely
too
true.
if you're not careful.
Yeah, way to spell intellectual wrong.
Right?
I wasn't gonna call you out until you corrected
Nothing's better than screwing up
that
the
irony.
smartest word
Yeah.
in the sentence, right? We just need a little embarrassed faced emoji to pop up any moment now. We'll be all right.
Yeah,
Anyway,
right.
there you go. Hey, but now, so there's that, and I'm just going to put this out there on a side note. I think maybe this Jesse, is it Jesse Smollett?
Jussie, yeah,
Jesse Smollett.
yeah.
Until I know more about these two people they arrested in that situation.
Hmm.
I'm going on the record going, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I actually saw that originally on Matt Christensen's podcast, Beauty and the Beta, where because they cover a lot of the like hoax hate crimes and stuff like that. And they called it from the beginning as soon as they talked about this. They're like, yeah, this is bullshit. Absolute bullshit. For a number of reasons. Obviously, one, he had the noose around his neck for like 40 minutes till the cops got there. He had a Subway sandwich in his hand that they didn't steal, didn't even bother stealing it. And, the bread wasn't even crushed. Like, it was perfectly fine. And then it comes out, you can go ahead and take the rest of that.
No, no,
Comes out
please.
that it was actually yeah no it comes out that it was actually staged with him. Was it him and two of his friends? One of them was like a one of them was an extra on Empire, and then like one of his friends. Yeah, it was just manufactured outrage.
You gotta love that. I
Oh,
don't know.
it's been rampant lately because there's not enough actual hate crimes, so we have to make it up to push the narrative that white people are evil.
So the question I would ask, and hopefully the answers will come out, but they probably won't. Who orchestrated? Who was the mastermind that actually called for the orchestration of it? Was it someone involved with the show for
No,
ratings, or was it himself for
I
his
think it was
own?
himself
Yeah,
for victim points.
yeah,
That's why he did it, and to get his name out there more, he can get better roles due to his name recognition and pity.
yeah, maybe. He wanted more speaking lines in Empire. You think? Yeah,
Maybe I don't know. I've never seen the show. I mean, it's probably garbage anyway, like most TV.
it's organized crime.
So whatever.
But so now about real issues, real things that happen. We've got another situation in that's developing, is still developing in Illinois. I believe you said
Mm.
it. Did you say it was Chicago, John?
It was outside. It was Aurora.
Aurora,
Aurora.
Illinois. Yeah,
Aurora. Yeah.
Aurora. Borealis, Aurora Borealis.
Wasn't that where Wayne's World took place? Or was
The
that no? It was
the
Peoria.
Peoria. Oh, I thought you
You
meant the
got
Aurora
Peoria.
Borealis. I'm like, no, I don't
No,
think
no,
they went
no,
up to Alaska at all
no, no,
during
no.
that movie.
Talking about in Illinois. Yeah,
So apparently, and like I said, this is kind of all we have right now. There was a mass shooting in Aurora, Illinois, at a manufacturing plant. I
yeah,
believe is
for
where they
like
said it was.
valves and
Yeah,
valves and like pipes or some shit like that.
and
It sounds awful to begin with. I wouldn't want to work there either.
yeah,
Holy
apparently
shit.
five people were shot. And in the suspect himself was killed, but at the cost of five officers being injured in the takedown. Um,
Yeah.
but as of yet, they are, other than they've released only the name of the suspect that was killed, and that's Gary Martin. He's 45 years old, or was. I guess we can use was now. Too soon? Um, but nobody's been identified, and of course, at
Okay.
this time, they don't have any reason behind this. So this is going to be developing stuff. But
Yeah.
this was all
We'll
carried.
probably. I was gonna say we'll probably touch on it on Monday when we have more information.
And I think you said you saw a different article that said basically he was using a pistol, right? So
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
this is not going to be one of those situations where we can get up in arms about, no pun intended, get up in arms about weapons that shouldn't be in the hands of certain people, blah, blah, this, that, and the other. Some of it will probably be argued, but this isn't one of those assault weapon situations as of
Yeah. It
yet.
doesn't. It doesn't quite fit the narrative, especially with not Illinois in general, but Chicago, which is a suburb of Chicago. Uh, has some of the strictest gun laws in the country. So it's kind of hard to go after them for that.
Um, I just read an article this week about a school who has officially put long guns in the hands of its uh, courtesy
Hell yeah.
officers at the school with full training. They're making sure that everybody's got full training on these guns. Was it Alabama or Georgia? Damn it, I can't remember which one of the two it was.
I don't know. But
One,
that would be really cool. I haven't heard of that. That would be really cool to
no,
see how well it works.
yeah. So they're patrol officers at the school. They have two on duty at any given time. But the first two, one is in place already. The other was finishing training this week, and then
Nice.
he was going to be in the school, and they would have these weapons on hand, carried with them, ready to go.
Hmm.
But I can appreciate the smarts the school used. We're going to make sure these guys are trained in specific
Yeah.
situations, this, that, and the other. They're not just going in there willy nilly and putting guns in the hands of people.
Right. Of course.
And that is responsible gun ownership. That's the responsible gun use, and that's the way it should be done.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just going to go ahead and speculate at this point in time, being that it's out in Illinois, Aurora, Illinois. I'm going to bet this guy had every legitimate reason to have this gun.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna guess that since it happened in a manufacturing plant, this happened at work, and this almost
It's a work
screams of
related.
anger to me, right?
Oh yeah.
Something angry happened here. So, as this does develop, I'm sure maybe we'll touch on this on Monday night when we have our shooting the shit episode. But until then, we'll just kind of monitor and see what goes on with it. It's really, the sad thing is this is just becoming kind of commonplace, and that is the downside.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is a standard for us these days, right? It's really not, oh my God, a mass shooting. Now it's like, where's the next mass shooting at? How close to home was it? That's what it's become for me, at least.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it hasn't been happening as much lately as it was like early last year.
Well,
Early last year, it was really bad.
yeah, yeah, but I mean, we're just we're fresh into the new year. Maybe people are taking a
Yeah.
break. Hopefully, we'll see a decline
Once it
in it.
starts getting warmer.
There's a lot of talk that when this started peaking, climbing up, of course.
Mhm.
I saw an article speculating that a lot of this occurred in 2016. Was it an article? I may have been watching actually a pundit talking about it,
Mhm.
saying that these kind of crimes have increased in the last 2 years. Really?
Oh
Come
yeah.
on. But they have kind of. I mean, it's been much more visible in the last five, actually. I think 5 to 10. It's been
Yep.
an ongoing thing, so I can't. I don't think we can relate this to anybody specifically. It's just crazy,
No,
crazy
it's all Trump's
Americans.
fault.
It's crazy
It's all Trump's
Americans.
fault.
So,
Orange man, bad.
so John,
So,
we've got two really major topics to talk about tonight. Now,
do
one
we? Oh,
one
shit.
one pisses me off. Well, each one kind of. Well, one of them has kind of a dual prong thing, but the other one is just something that is a tangent that we can go off on for a while, or at least I can. But anyway, so I'm going to throw them out to you. Do you want to talk about our illustrious orange leader, or do you want to talk about our illustrious Amazon leader?
Let's talk about the Orange Man, the God Emperor
Orange man, God Emperor
himself.
Trump. So now, first
Yep.
off, the first thing I have to do this. I have to do it publicly. I fucking told you so.
You did.
I
Yeah.
told you this was going to happen,
I
right?
didn't think it was. Yeah.
Yes, and I knew, and I said this from the very beginning. As soon as he peeked his hand, as soon as he showed his hand a little, oh, I have no intention of doing this.
Yeah.
But anyway, folks, today we got our spending agreement signed. But our greatest deal maker in the world history of deal makers did not get the deal he wanted. In fact, I believe
Well,
they
he did
apportioned.
though.
They hold on.
He got what he wanted.
They apportioned approximately 1.4 billion dollars for funding for Trump's border protection, the wall.
Mhm.
Now, having said that, his response to that was to go ahead and play his pocket card that ace up his sleeve he's been holding for a while, and he's gone ahead and he's declaring a national emergency. And they've approximated that he's looking at access to about $8 billion.
Yeah.
So
Pretty good.
he's gonna have enough to build his wall and bedazzle it.
Yeah.
But I knew he was going to do it. I said this from the very beginning. He would not have put it out there, even to say that he could, but isn't planning on using it. He would not have said a damn thing about it if he didn't have every intention of doing it. And he used the American people during the government shutdown to let us feel the pain of him not getting the money he wants. And then,
I still don't think that's it, but
in an effort to keep
keep
from
going.
having the shutdown go again, he capitulates on the deal and plays the pocket card because he always intended to use it, expecting that he
Yeah.
wasn't going to get the money. That's my opinion,
Yeah.
but it's kind of how it's played out.
Yeah. See, I'm gonna disagree with it though. Like, I don't like that he's doing it that way. Um, not because I'm against having a wall or anything like that. The reason I don't like it is because of the precedent it sets about how he can just go around Congress to get what he wants if they don't want to give it to him, which is going to be really shitty when we have another Democrat president, and then they are going to be able to do that whenever they want because, well, Trump already did it, so why can't I?
Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I watched the almost the entire speech. I trailed off at the end when he's taken some questions. Although I heard enough relevant information in some of the questions that he answered. But there was a point where he's talking about how the process is going to go. And I swear to God, I've never seen such a condescending asshole in the president's role than I saw
Yeah.
when he did this. Because basically he was like, So I'm going to sign this, and then it's going to go before the Senate. And they're gonna say no, and then I'm going to appeal it. Or it's going to go to the Ninth Circuit, and they're going to
Yeah,
say no, and it's going to
it's got to go to the Supreme Court.
it's
Yeah.
going to appeal it. And the way he's saying it just this way. The Senate's going to, the Ninth Circuit's going to kick it back, and then I'm going to put it forward again, and they're going to kick it back, and then we're going to take it up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court's going to say, give us what we want. And that's exactly how he's saying it. Like, fuck you guys.
Well, I mean, he's right about that, though.
Yeah, and this is how it's going to play out, right? The Supreme
Yeah,
Court's in his
absolutely.
pocket, right? For the in a sense, for the most
In a
part,
sense.
we've got to hope that maybe maybe they would have a different conscience about it, and they somebody on there
Well, I mean,
won't agree
it's
with
not
it, but
it's not about whether or not they want to give it to him. It's whether or not it's within his power to do so.
right. Well,
That's the thing.
and there is there's been a lot of precedents set for that. But now he was comparing this to other states of emergency that have been called.
Yeah.
And here was the part that was the most damning to me is when he said, I don't really need to do this right now. I could still get the wall built. It would just take longer time, but I want to get it done now. So I'm going to
Yeah.
do this.
Well, yeah, so I understand why he's doing it, right? The election's coming up. He really needs to have something to show for his time, his biggest campaign promise, if he thinks he's going to win again.
But isn't
So,
that
I understand why he did it. I just don't like the way that he did it.
well, right? I mean, but isn't him saying that I don't need to do this
Right.
pretty much
saying, "I'm gonna get it
denying the
done either
fact
way."
that there's an emergency to constitute calling an emergency at the border?
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have to do it, I mean, emergency is something you have to do.
Yeah.
This must be done. But if you're telling me,
yeah, I mean, in his view, it does need to be done, but I don't think it needs to be done as quickly.
oh, sure, but he's like,
But, I mean, it's just a tool,
just
right?
want,
It's just a tool that he's using, though.
yeah,
It's
I
just
just want it done now.
yeah. Well, like I said, he needs to have it, at least started now.
He's acting like a spoiled child.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
no
this
need
is
to
the
deny that.
spoiled
Yeah.
child move. This is him like, well, fuck you. I'll just do this, and get away with what I want, whether you like it or not.
What's that one douchebag, the J.G. Wentworth guy? It's like, it's my money and I need it now. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, maybe we should get hashtag Veruca Trump going.
Veruca Trump.
Do you know who I'm referring
No.
to? Oh, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Veruca
Oh,
Veruca
right.
Salt.
Gotcha, yeah.
We'll call him
Gotcha.
hashtag Veruca Trump.
Yeah.
Oh my God! But and this is what I don't understand. Also, he stood there and said that they gave him money for all of these different things, except for the wall. But
Yeah.
in these other areas, they gave him so much, he doesn't know what to do with it all. Do we
just send
really
it out
have that
somewhere
much
else.
money to blow? Because I keep seeing our deficit
yeah.
going up. I
And
don't.
there's been no consequence for it, It's like in real life when you keep writing checks even though
Right.
you have no money. Yeah.
You just call down to the mint and say print off another
Yeah.
5 billion.
They
What?
don't even have to do that anymore. They don't have to do that. They just
Oh,
put
doing
digitally.
the, gotcha.
Just digitally. So they're just like, yeah, add another couple zeros to the end of that. We'll be all right.
So I don't understand this idea, and this was and let me back up for a second and say this about the speech he gave. Unlike his State of the Union address, this was 100% off the cuff.
Mm.
So when he's going off tangent and just strolling down the road, here's during the press conference, and he said this, and it pissed me off. He's getting ready to take the next question, and he's pointing over, and he says he calls out and he says, "No, ABC, not CBS. I like ABC more than I like CBS. Not much." but a little bit more. So I'm calling ABC. Michael
That's
Vega.
awesome.
Wait, what the fuck happened?
Which
Uh,
part, man?
we're
Which
talking
part?
about Trump declaring a state of emergency to go ahead and get $8 billion to build his wall. So if he
Yeah.
does take manages to swing $8 billion plus the 1.4, then he'll have $9.4 billion for the border wall, which he
Hell
only
yeah.
asked for 5.7 billion for. Will
Well,
he
that was
only
yeah.
spend the 5.7 billion, or will he find a way to use all
Well, the
9 billion?
5.7 billion, the 5.7 billion
Oh,
was only for like for a portion of it. That was only for like a couple hundred miles. It wasn't for the
gotcha.
whole thing.
Hey, Michael, I'll backtrack for a second. No, we opened up. There was a multi-person shooting in Aurora, Illinois, at a manufacturing plant.
Yeah.
Uh, 5 people were killed, 5 officers injured, but they did kill the suspect. But there wasn't much more information. We don't know why, and we don't know who any of the victims were, etc.
Yeah.
But that's what we were talking about. So I don't know. It's already started talk about the 25th Amendment. So
25th
not that
Amendment.
that discussion hasn't been going on for the last two
Yeah.
years, but the 25th Amendment, you're aware, is the one that talks about the secession of the president, vice president into presidency, or removing the president
Yeah.
should he not be deemed fit for office.
Right.
And I have to say that is it possible that this kind of overreach, that this kind of move would qualify as unfit, not fit for the job? Like, is this the kind of gaffe that we could justify? Okay, this guy is just too loose cannon. He doesn't
Mhm.
need to be in the role he's in.
I don't think so. I think it's just going to be used as another, let's impeach 45, just to do so because we don't like him. I don't
Right.
think it's actually grounds for it. Because, I mean, that's why we have checks and balances, right? If he tries to do something outside the purview of his power, then it gets stopped. I mean, by the other branches. So,
Well, that's. I guess that's going to be the big question: is if the Democrats have the strength to shut it. I don't know. Is it purely Democrats that are going to be trying to shut this emergency down?
there might be a few Republicans, but it'll mostly be Democrats, yeah.
Will
But there are
it?
a few Republicans, yeah. Rand Paul is very outspoken against it.
And will it have to go to the Supreme Court? Will it have to go that
I
far,
think I think
or
it'll
will
make it
they
that far.
just go ahead and let it run?
No, I mean I think they're gonna. The Ninth Circuit has been very against Trump, very anti-Trump,
Okay,
and so I think it's gonna make its way to the Supreme Court.
so then I'm going to go ahead and say that this to me is the kind of reasoning that one needs to take into consideration when you are at the polls in 2020. Because if he's willing to tie up our government and funds and resources in this way just to get his campaign promise pushed through, this one thing spends so much. Oh God, the cost alone, $11 billion cost during the shutdown.
Hmm.
Right. Then on top of that, okay, yes, I get it. I want the wall. I want a wall there. I want a permanent barrier all the way across. I do. But the game playing, this is the kind of thing that we don't need from a president.
Yeah, I mean he gets shit done. You got to give them that. It might not be what you want him to get done, but I
Well,
mean he's done a lot in his 3 years that he's been in.
I mean, where do you see this as overreach?
Um, no, because it is within his power to do so, but I don't think that it's a good thing to do. Mostly because, again, the president, I think it's very short sighted. I think it's something that he's not considering what the impact will be once he's out of office.
Well, I believe that the ends doesn't justify the means. I don't think that he has the. I don't think I don't think it meets the parameters of calling a national emergency. And that is where
Yeah.
the efficacy of any of it comes into play, is if it's not constituted as an actual emergency, then it is overreach. This is him playing a game. And
Oh yeah,
that's the part I have a problem with.
he's
Shooting,
playing the game of politics. I mean,
yeah.
he's got to though.
And but he does it at the cost of the American people, whether it be in our tax dollars, whether it be in our opinion, whether it be in not bothering to take the pulse, a true pulse of the country. The God Emperor is never out of the office. Nice.
That's right.
I don't
He's
know.
always got Emperor.
I don't understand how it's going to. I hope it's. I hope it's not allowed from the standpoint of how he's doing it. I don't care if he has the money for the wall. That's the problem I have. I don't care if he has the money for the wall.
Yeah, it's how he's doing
It's
it.
just
That's
the
problem.
shitty way he's going about getting it.
And I agree with that. Yeah.
I'm surprised that we agree on that to a certain extent. I mean,
Yeah,
but you don't like
sorry.
it. You don't like it when the government does shit anyway. So,
That's true. Yeah, the less they do, the better it is for everyone. Anyway.
but it's caused a lot of outcry on Twitter. There's a new hashtag, Steve Ignoramus. There's not
Oh, hey,
one
what's up, Steven?
one white MAGA dude in that part of Chicago where it happened. Agree.
Oh yeah, that part. Yeah,
The
the
Tussie, whatever it is,
Jussie thing.
Yeah. What about aerial and sea drug transportation? How are you going to build a wall for that? See,
Yeah, so
and
you don't build a wall. We have the Coast Guard that does. That's mainly what they do. In fact, with the sea drug transportation, and I mean we have radar and stuff for that. So
well, I mean, if you listen to Trump talk, you get the impression that it's not coming anywhere but from the southern border. I mean, honestly,
yeah,
that's what it sounds like when he talks about it.
I
That
mean not that I would
nothing.
know anything about it, but some really good weed comes from Canada. I mean, not that I know anything about that, but
I'm just saying,
really good weed comes from Canada.
how much shit washes up on the coasts, the various coasts of Florida every
Yeah.
fucking year, that's being dropped out in the water and sent up to the shore on the waves, right? I mean, these drops have been going on for decades. You know, it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
are you going to build a wall around Florida? I mean, you know,
We already have a we have a seawall.
and how many illegal immigrants come in from Cuba?
Well, they're not illegal. They're actually refugees. If they come from there, or if they come from Cuba, or if they come from Haiti,
But we
if they make it to the shore, they get to stay. But we try and stop them before they make it.
and
But
send
if
them
they
back.
actually touch, if they right, but if they touch the beach, they get to stay. Basically, home base. It's kind of an interesting policy.
So then my question is, why have Mexicans not just been getting boats and coming across the Gulf of Mexico and coming in through
That's
Florida?
dangerous. That's super dangerous. That's a
Man.
lot longer. The Cuba is only 90 miles from South Florida, from Miami. That's not nearly as much as from the east coast of Mexico to the through the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, but less chance you're going to get sent back. You know,
Maybe a lot of Coast Guard, patrolling around.
and you get a
The longer
tan.
you're out exposed to the elements,
Midget. Oh my god. Oh my god. God, I
Yeah.
can't believe. Oh, delete.
Disavow.
God,
Disavow.
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 And I have to disagree with that. I think that is a horrible stereotype that's
Yeah,
associated with
they're
them.
just sleepy because they work so much. That's all.
I used to work at a restaurant when I was much younger, and I was running the kitchen, and I had a crew of 6 guys, and they worked 6 months on, 6 months off. And at the end of their 6 months, they had to go back to Mexico, and they would send 6 other guys. They would trade out. Their shifts would just flow. And these other 6 guys would come in on their work visa and come to the country for 6 months. And they would take over for this crew. And then every 6 months, they would swap out. And they'd go home and live live the high life because they all lived in one small apartment. They bought loaves of bread and
bologna and cheese.
bologna and cheese and shit,
Yeah.
and just ate minimal meals plus whatever they ate at the restaurant and everything, and were sending most of their money home, so they go and live like kings for 6 months out of the year. I was like, but some of the hardest working sons of guns I've ever seen. Man, you didn't have to direct them.
Yeah.
They were a machine in that kitchen. I mean, dishes were always clean, dishes were always being cooked and prepared, and prep was done. You didn't have to question it. You just made a list, and they would get it done. And they knew it better than any of us kitchen managers. They would come to us, hey, I don't think you got enough of this on here. We need to do more. All right, sure, whatever. And of course, there was a different language barrier going on than that, but still.
Yeah.
Go ahead and signal your virtue.
Signaled. That's right.
Yeah. My virtue has been triggered.
Yeah, we disavow you and all your comments.
So, the question I really want to ask is, are we going to be able to, if we build this wall, is it going to be sustainable? Is it going to be something that's going to be a viable option? Or is this just going to be a colossal waste of money that can be circumvented as the border often is now?
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen the plans for the wall, so I don't know.
Well, they've shown what they're doing. They're just putting up, metal posts, with some space in between so you can see the other side, but I guess not big enough to squeeze through. So
right.
they're, it's just going to be a post fence. I don't know, but they're tall. Not tall enough that you can't put an extension ladder up against it, apparently, because, there's been video of that. But,
Yeah, but they got caught though, didn't they?
Well, yeah, they were caught on film, and they were, of course. But that doesn't mean, Okay, so
you're not going to catch them every time, right?
Right.
But Trump was also talking about how it's going to have like sensors and shit like that around it. I don't know how much of that is true, but that would obviously be a good way of doing it. Having drones patrolling, back and forth. Obviously unarmed drones, so we don't not just blasting people out of the sky or out of the off the planet.
So, my thought is this: if you're really smart, you would put an entire circuit of solar panels across the top of every one of these posts that they're putting up, and use those solar panels, which are going to be in the sun a lot and generate a lot of battery juice, and electrify the fucking border.
Yeah.
You want to put up a border?
I don't know.
That to me sounds, if they're circuited, together with redundancies, this, that, and the other, these panels can generate a lot of juice, enough to, electrify. Because it looks to me, if I'm not mistaken, these are like big iron posts that are going in for the fence. Yeah. That's what it looks like. Big metal stuff. You have to cut it with saws and stuff. Well, fuck. Let's electrify it. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's just have fun with it. Then we need less people working the border.
Yeah.
As soon as somebody throws a fucking ladder up again,
Yeah.
I don't know. You tell me, John.
It could be as simple as like throwing something that's doesn't conduct electricity, like a rubber mat, over the top of it and climbing over. Resting the ladder on that, and then going over. I don't know, but there you go.
I just thought of something funny for the Democrats to pull. Sure, you can have your state of emergency, but FEMA has to build the wall.
Oh God. Oh God, no.
Could you see it now? FEMA has to build the wall.
They would just pile the metal on top of each other. Like not putting posts in, not screwing them in or anything, just piling metal on top of metal.
Yeah, it would be funny. I would think it would take a while. It would take them a while. So.
Oh yeah.
But it's, I don't know. I'm done with the. I don't want to see this kind of overreach. I don't want to see him pulling this shit, especially when he as much as says he's going to do it. Somebody should have gotten smart. I don't understand why nobody got smart enough to just say, "All right, fine, give him the 5.7 billion because this is going to cost us a lot more if we don't."
Right. I mean, then you have like every time he's walls being built, and if something goes wrong, you can just be like, "How look, Trump is shit. Look how shit he is. We gave him what he wanted, and he's doing shit with it." They could attack him throughout the entire process.
Rubber ladder boom. You know, and that's the thing. It's not even like they were just, anybody could sit back and say they were giving him enough rope to hang himself.
Right.
Because this is not a hangable offense, right? This is not something to impeach him over, I guess. Now,
No.
whether or not he's fit for duty when he's, willing to just, try and grab power, that's a fine line to talk about. But he didn't do anything impeachable by using an executive action that has to go through the checks and balance system.
Right.
Or
exactly.
No matter how they try and spin it. So I don't understand why they didn't just, in the first week of the fucking shutdown, say, okay, you know what? Let's be realists about this. He's going to fuck us over. He's going to take this as far as he has to, because he's as much as said he would, and he did from the beginning. So.
Yeah, and he's got, like I said, he's got to get this wall done, or at least have something to show, to his base if he thinks he's going to be elected again.
I don't know. So that's gonna chew us up for I don't know how long this process will take. There's usually time frames for when this has to happen. So I'm guessing within the next 30 to 60 days they'll have decided. I don't know how long you can draw out a state of emergency.
Yeah.
But hopefully it's not going to dominate the media like it has the last 2 or 3 days. Because I'm still, there's been all of this talk early in the week as, they've said there's no collusion, but again, all of this comes out. It's weird. It's almost like it goes in cycles. Oh, it's been said there's no collusion. Oh, it's been said there's no collusion, but there's no report come out yet. The report hasn't been released. Nobody said anything.
It's just people from within the, what is it, the committee, the Judiciary Committee, and people within, the administration saying that no, nothing's been found, but the actual investigation hasn't concluded their investigation yet.
And I mean, shit, they're still talking about it. They just had Sarah Huckabee Sanders. They pulled her in for an interview with Mueller. But and it's like I want other things put to bed. It's just these ongoing things. I want to know why he won't release his taxes. I want him to focus on that. That's my next thing that I really want them to, people have been asking for his taxes for a long time. Why won't you let anybody see them? I just want to know this. This has been bugging me since the very beginning.
It's probably just, he doesn't want to give them anything. Anything that they ask for, he's like, no, just no.
And I don't understand. And from that standpoint, and maybe somebody out there.
Well, it's because they can't be appeased. So, as soon as he offers that up, it's not going to be good enough. And even if it completely exonerates him from whatever they think he's guilty of, as soon as that happens, it's just okay. Now we're moving on to the next thing. It never really mattered. So why give that to him?
And
especially if they might find something that to shit on him about.
Well, I know the conversation went...
It can only be bad.
The conversation went in both ways when they've talked about this, but does he not have a responsibility to make his taxes available when he goes into this job? Or was it decided that he doesn't have to? Because he keeps writing on the IRS as they're in the middle of an audit. They're being audited. And the IRS has even said, no, we're not doing anything significant that would prevent him from releasing his taxes. So
yeah, I don't know.
I thought it was a requirement.
No,
for a while.
It's a tradition. It's not a requirement. But it can only be bad if he releases. Bad for him. I mean, if he releases it,
one way or the other.
either there's nothing there and they move on and demand something else of him, or there might be something that they can use against him. So, I mean, I understand why he's not releasing it, and he certainly doesn't have to.
I think they ought to. I mean, you got to get a home loan. You got to provide taxes from since your sphincter wasn't brown. You know, I mean, it's like they want they fine tooth comb, but for the president of the United States, yeah, it's not a big deal. Not a
Yeah.
big deal. It's just the presidency.
And
Not a big deal.
and Midget B, I totally agree. I also want investigations into the Clinton Foundation
Hey,
email server,
I've
all
always
that
been
shit.
curious why all of that just stopped. I mean, it all pretty much went to bed as soon as the election was over. It's
Yeah.
just it was a sad thing because it's like you just make things look worse when you do this. You should
They were
have
too busy investigating Trump.
right. Well, you don't stop. And I don't understand why they stopped pursuing it. There was no reason to stop pursuing because there was there was equally as
Well,
much evidence or potential evidence, circumstantial evidence in her situation as there has been with Trump.
I mean, were
So
they really even investigating? I mean, they kind of did, but then they were just like, meh.
the media was doing most of the investigating,
Yeah.
I believe, right? I think a lot of that was the RNC and the DNC both using the media as tools
Yeah.
to create more speculation and to spur more investigation and ultimately hoping for it to lead to ridicule or the ultimate goal to make one of them lose the presidency, which it kind of did for Clinton. you know Obviously, I mean, a lot more people thought she was dirty than they did him, but most of the dirt
Oh,
about
yeah.
him has come out after the fact. you
But
know
most of the dirt about him was either already public or like just not a big deal.
right,
You
not
know, as
enough of
far
it.
well, as far as we know, he doesn't have a body count. She has a
Right,
demonstrable body count.
provable.
uh, I mean, not really. That's the problem.
So then my question for you about 2020, will all the email bullshit, that's going to be enough to keep Hillary from running in 2020, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think she's going to run. She certainly hasn't announced yet because that would have
No.
been huge news.
But the first debate isn't until June. So it's
Yeah.
not like there's not enough time to get it going.
Yeah, but that would just be an awful move
It
for
would be
them, for the
I don't
Democrats.
think,
That would be terrible
right.
because they have to give it to her again. They'd have to give her the general election or give her the primary so that she can go to the general,
Potentially.
and then
They may just let her run its course and may just treat her like an old horse, and it's like, okay, we'll just let her run a race and she'll wind up putting herself out to pasture.
yeah, but no, they have to let her win. That's
I don't think the email scandal would let her be successful in even a primary
But I
bid.
mean, it's just like with Trump's controversy, right? The people who liked him didn't care, and the people who didn't weren't going to vote for him anyway. Same thing with her in the emails. People who don't like her are the only ones who cared, and they weren't going to vote for her anyway.
If she announces a run, 5-1 says Trump demands that the investigation be reopened or
Probably.
further explored.
He'd be
He'll
like, "Yeah,
he'll
it's your
appoint
turn,
a
bitch.
he'll appoint a committee or something.
Your turn to be investigated for 2 years, bitch." Now what? That would be awesome.
Yeah. Oh no! You know what he would do for her? He would actually appoint a committee to determine if she was capable of handling the job of president. He'd go after her medically and for her age.
Yeah.
That's my guess. But that remains to be seen. But I did see that they've already got the first. It's in June. They've got the first primary debate set to go. As soon as they know who all the candidates are going to be, and they'll get that laid out and established. But they said that two of the major networks and Telemundo are going to be carrying it.
And
Hey, don't
yeah, oh,
no,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Midget B, no more. When he said no more partisan investigations.
Yeah, that was from
At the
Sochu.
Sotu, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of interesting because he kind of glossed over that and then immediately moved on to something else. Like he said it like really, really quickly.
What's
That
that?
was kind of interesting. Talking about no more partisan investigations. Like we can come together as a country if we're constantly investigating each other. All this kind of shit.
But much like anything else, that won't matter, right? If it's
Oh yeah, it doesn't
something
matter
that
what he
he
said
wants
back
to
then.
pursue.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just that's the same for any of them, any politician.
Right.
What
So,
what I said yesterday is not how I think today.
exactly.
Yeah,
However, if you're anybody but the president and you did it 30 something years ago, it can still be held against you in a court of social law.
yeah, the Human Rights Tribunal or whatever. That's what they call it in Canada, at least.
You don't just stop being racist overnight
Which guys,
over 34 years worth of nights.
speaking of Canadians, I need my chat to do me a favor. I need you guys to harass Short Fred Otaku. Tell him to be on the show. That would be awesome. Because we've been talking, and he's just got to confirm a day and time. So just go ahead and harass him. Let him know you want him to be on the show.
I would, but I'm going to act like I don't know who that is.
Yeah. You go ahead and start pretending that you don't know who that is.
Short fat otaku, be on the show. No, not in our
Yeah, not in the
chat.
chat on Twitter,
You gotta,
on Twitter, Discord, wherever
yeah.
you got him.
You're gonna have to go through because if he was in this chat, wouldn't need you. We'd have it covered.
He'd be listening right now. I'm doing my
I'm doing my part.
Yes,
Damn it.
Tinchi, you get citizenship. Citizenship will be given due to your service.
Speaking of
See, Midget B knows how to help.
comments on every vid. Speaking of
On
doing
every
your
vid.
service and duty to the community, are we? I believe I heard a rumor that you're going to try and grow our little generational gap community a little, John. Did you?
Yeah. So we're gonna open up a Discord here coming up starting Monday. We're gonna have access to it, where people can join up and just hang out and talk to people and even talk to us at times. 'Cause I know you guys don't get enough of us. The 2 days a week that we're on. So we're gonna do that, and we have plans. We got to work out the logistics of it, but we have plans to start doing sort of a almost like a call-in show on Mondays, where we'll just drag people in to talk about a topic that they want to talk about for like 5 or 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, and then kick them out and bring someone else in and talk about what they want to talk about.
And
I think that would
no,
be a lot of fun. Nice way to build little community.
but no talking about your uncle's boil. That's not a
You
real
can talk about
topic.
your uncle's boil if you want. I don't give a fuck. I'll just say it's gross. Just make sure you bring a picture though.
John, you're one of those parents that just allows everything. Just
Yeah, I know.
you got to control these people. You with an iron fist.
Nah, iron rusts too easily.
Don't you take any lessons from the top?
No, got a pretty thick head. Slow learner.
Orange iron fist. All right, so yeah, hopefully you can get the logistics of that worked out and we can get all that fun going on. That would be interesting to have people pop in
Yeah.
every once in a while if they have something relevant to say. If you don't have anything relevant to say, well, by God, don't even. Well, yeah, might as well because then we can just make fun of you.
Right, exactly.
Gotcha. So maybe we should incorporate a waiver.
Just be aware. A disclaimer.
If we
just be
say
aware.
something you don't like, it's not really a boo boo.
Right. It's not it's not paramount to assault.
It's not an ouchie.
Tantamount.
You can't go cry
Not
to your mama.
tantamount to assault.
Not tantamount to
That's right.
assault.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of logistics, now that we've beat the orange man to death a little bit,
That was actually a pretty good transition. I'm proud of you.
till you ruin it by commenting on it,
Well, it was good while it lasted.
let's get to the source of my real anger this week. Now, John,
do it.
how old are you?
I'm about to be 29 on Sunday.
And you've been working since you were like 22?
Well, I had my first job at 18.
But like really
And
working
then
and paying taxes, you were
yeah, yeah, probably
started
about
being regular
22.
in your
Yeah,
early 20s, right?
yeah,
So you're a taxpayer. I'm a taxpayer.
yes,
I'm 50 years old. I've been paying taxes a lot of years, right?
hell yeah.
What if you didn't have to pay any taxes? What if you could just get away with it for a year, maybe even
Fuck
two
yeah,
years? Wouldn't that be awesome?
that'd be pretty sweet. Yeah.
What if you pulled in $11.5 billion for the year? Would you still feel like you should get away without paying taxes, John?
Yeah, I'm pretty selfish though.
Then you, my friend, are Jeff Bezos.
Shit, I wish.
So
Be the richest man on the planet. Hell yeah.
it came out this week that our other great overlord, not the orange overlord, the yellow overlord.
Well, that's
Yellow.
actually racist. You should probably chill.
Well, no,
Holy
they
shit.
do their boxes in yellow and
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing.
Fucking
It was
racist.
reported this week that Amazon will not be paying any taxes for 2018, which makes this the second year in a row that they
Well,
have
good for
not
them.
had to pay any taxes. And we're talking 2017, 5.6, I think it was $5.6 billion in profit, no
Yeah.
taxes paid. They doubled that this past year and still are paying no taxes on this because of a $129 million rebate that they're getting on their taxes, which actually equates to them paying negative 1% in taxes. Ultimately, fucking Amazon is getting a tax return.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck,
So my
John?
guess is that they had enough things to write off, enough tax write-offs in order to actually make money, which is really proves how shitty our tax system is.
Does it not? I mean,
It does.
for God's sakes,
Yeah.
John.
I'm guessing that's how they can get away with it. I haven't really read that much into it. My guess is that's how they're getting away with it.
Now, I'm not going to go into how much Jeff Bezos himself is going to wind up paying, right? Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
so maybe as a personal
We're talking
taxpayer,
about
but the company itself, there are enough loopholes that the largest corporation or a corporation that battles for the top seat in the world can get
hmm
away without having to pay any taxes. That boggles my mind that our tax code is so loose. Yet people in the middle class, after this recent tax break, quote unquote,
hmm
that we got put into effect this past year, are actually not seeing as much money coming back to them, if not actually having to pay where they normally saw a return.
Yeah.
Why in the fuck would the middle class be seeing that kind of situation, and we turn around and see a company that makes over $11.5 billion in profit pays nothing? That just,
hmm
I don't know. How do we justify that from a capitalist society, from a capitalist standpoint?
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like we need a fair tax system as opposed to this convoluted bullshit we have now.
It would.
Just saying that would be my solution to it because then you can't avoid. There's no loopholes or anything to avoid taxes. They're getting paid.
Is it possible that Amazon has found the perfect corporate structure? The way they
hmm
handle, they have Amazon, but really Amazon Amazon is really just facilitating most of these sales. They're
hmm
more of an intermediary than anything else, intermediary than anything
right.
else in a lot of
Words are
this,
hard.
right? Because they have so
Yeah.
many third parties selling through Amazon. Is have they got themselves a corporate structure set up that is like this perfect storm for avoiding taxes? Is that what they've managed to do? And Does
Yeah.
that where does that fall? I Nothing speaks to monopoly in that. I understand that.
Hmm.
But I guess it can't be considered tax fraud either, right? If
Well,
they're
no, because
using
everything they're
every
doing is
loophole
legal.
provided, right?
Right. Everything they're
Wow.
doing is legal. I assume, right? Obviously, I don't know, but there's been no talk of them doing anything shady. It's just the nature of the beast, which is why, again, we need to get rid of this very convoluted and very easily manipulated tax system, and we need
Well,
to just move to the fair tax policy.
it's. I'm glad that you brought up manipulative, because Amazon, in and of themselves, is very much a manipulative company, as they've proven
Sure.
here recently with New York, right?
Hmm.
So ultimately, they put themselves in a position, two cities in a position to bid, as it were, for Amazon to bring their second headquarters in, which New York managed to win that bid by promising them approximately $3 billion in incentives, tax incentives, property incentives, this kind of thing. Oh, talking about midgets, taxes,
Yeah.
taxes. So
Taxation is theft.
So they basically made these two cities compete, pull their local and state governments into the picture to manipulate the situation and get these incredible breaks. So how much manipulation is Amazon doing at our federal level? You know, how much of a pawn are we, is our government as a whole, to Amazon? And I understand the bad blood between Trump and Bezos, but I mean, what are they doing to manipulate things so much that they can get away without paying taxes, or are they simply just finding the holes?
Yeah.
Because they wound up pulling out of the deal in New York. Of course, they're like, okay, we're not going to do it. But now New York's pissed. Particularly, surprisingly enough, the community that was pissed off that they were being given $3 billion in incentives. A lot
Yeah.
of that same community is now like, well, fuck you, Amazon. You didn't want to bother and come down to the community level and talk to us, and make us feel better about this. And instead, you just pull out. And now you took away the 25,000 jobs that you told us we were going to have. Now they're
Yeah.
pissed. you know.
Yeah, and I told you this, off mic before we started the show, that it's all well and good if you want to push for the $15 an hour minimum wage, but if there's no jobs, then that's not going to do you any good. And I think that's what they just got in New York. I'm pretty sure it was the $15 an hour minimum wage, and then they're trying to bring in the 25,000 jobs.
Yeah,
Now
but
there's not going to be those extra jobs, and so that
right.
wage isn't really doing you any good.
Well, and they complain. Their biggest complaint was about infrastructure. It's like why can't that's $3 billion that can't is now not going to be able to be used. But on the flip side, a lot of people saw it as a $3 billion investment into a future of billions and billions of dollars coming in from Amazon.
Right.
But they
And it would have
obviously,
expanded too. It would have expanded beyond 25,000 jobs at some point.
I mean, it's the way they're doing right now, and starting to expand like in so many areas and grow bigger and grow bigger. Jeff Bezos is now the richest man in the world.
Hmm.
They are they are almost like the Trump of capitalism right now. I mean,
Wait, you said they're the Trump of capitalism?
yeah,
I'm
kind
pretty
of. Yeah.
sure. I'm pretty sure Trump is the Trump of capitalism.
Yeah, he's not that great at it. He's no Jeff Bezos, obviously.
He made it. He made his way to the presidency.
Well, yeah, but
So
give Bezos doesn't want the presidency. Too much
he's
work.
running the biggest business on the planet, the
Who?
U.S. government.
No, apparently Amazon is bigger because they don't have
No.
trillions of dollars in a deficit. See, that's where we lose. Is like once
Yeah,
you
but the
balance the
deficit isn't
books,
real.
once you balance the books, we're shit. You know,
The
we're.
deficit's not real. We'll just print more money. It's fine.
I
Don't
mean,
worry about it. It'll be all right.
when you balance our books, we have a little folded up sign that we whip out when no cops are around. Will work for food. I mean, it's just that's where we've gotten to whenever that
We don't
balance
need to
is.
work for food. We just use our military to take it. It'll be all right. Don't even worry about it.
And have them build a wall around it to protect it.
Yeah, that's right. Build the wall around the food. Which I'm pretty sure it's just called a pantry. And you build the
So,
wall around your food.
so does this like? I know that you think tax is theft, right? In a sense, to a certain extent, you've
It
said
is.
that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If it's voluntary, and understand, if it were voluntary, if people were like, no, I pay my taxes because I want my infrastructure. If it's voluntary,
Hmm.
it's not theft. But most people
Right.
don't see it as voluntary because it's imposed on us, right? Right.
Well, it's not voluntary, right?
Right. It's imposed on us.
Yeah.
Um, but when it's all said and done, your argument would only be that if you have to pay taxes, Amazon should have to pay taxes.
Right. Exactly. I mean, if it's imposed on the American people and the businesses, then it needs to be imposed across the board.
Now
I mean, that's just fair.
you mentioned
Otherwise, it's holding other people up higher than others, in which the government has no business doing.
um,
You gotta let the market do that. Market will make businesses either successful or not. Having the government involved does not. In fact, it's usually bad for
right.
most businesses.
Well, now where while it's Bezos and Trump's not going to have anything good to say about Bezos and Amazon,
Yeah.
normally I would expect him to argue that that's a it's an okay thing if a company doesn't it winds up not having to pay taxes because that'll be more money that comes into the economy
Hmm.
as opposed to going to the government, right? I could see him making that argument in the
I
towards
don't know.
capitalism, towards free market, that kind of thing.
I don't know if he would make that argument
Well,
about more money going into the economy. That's what you're saying, right?
well,
That they need to pay.
he's been a big fan of not paying taxes if he doesn't have to.
Well, of course, no one is.
He's admitted this. If I don't have to pay taxes, the less taxes I have to pay, the better.
Yeah,
So
of
I
course.
would think he would agree with this stance, depending on what who the company is. That it's
Right.
okay that they wind up with $129 million in tax rebates, to where they don't wind up paying any. But it's good for the economy if that happens, because now they have that 11 point whatever $billion in profits to put back into the economy. You know,
Yeah.
I does that argument work? Does that? I mean, does that not speak to trickle down Reaganomics, as it were?
You think that speaks to trickle down? Where, oh, I guess I see what you're saying. You're giving the money to Amazon, and then it's supposed to.
Right.
I mean,
With
I
Amazon
don't think.
saving that $129 million, that'll eventually filter down through the economy.
Um, I mean, not necessarily. I don't think it would. I mean, I don't believe in trickle down economics really
Well, they don't work.
to begin with. Yeah, well, I mean, it works on a smaller scale. Like with what I do for a living, my job, we're a very small company, and so when my boss makes more, then I usually see some of it. But when it gets to a much larger company, that usually doesn't isn't how that works.
The upper 1% is the upper 1% because their money ain't trickling down. The only time they make it rain on the little people is if they're pissing on them. I
The
mean,
1%. What's the 1%, Robert?
well, I mean, the bulk of the money in this country is held by what? Less than 1% of the population? I
They're
mean,
no, when they talk about the 1%, they're talking about anyone who makes $306,000 a year. They're not talking about people making millions and millions a year.
well,
People
aren't those people still
106,000.
part of the 1%?
Yeah, that's
Like
what I'm saying.
1% of the country's
Yeah, but I'm saying most of
money.
them make 306,000 or more. I mean, 306,000 or more. So it's not like they're all multimillionaires and things like that.
Well, no,
Just saying
but I'm just
they're not as rich as you think they are.
I'm just saying that I'm speaking to Reaganomics, and I'm speaking to the trickle down thoughts behind it.
I
Whether
don't
whether
know
it's
anyone who
corporations or
actually
where it's
thinks
individuals,
that
all the
works.
money at the top will never filter down. It just
Maybe
never
I'm in
will.
a maybe I'm in like some kind of echo chamber or filter bubble or something because I don't know of anyone really who thinks that trickle down economics works.
A lot of people were behind it back in Reagan days,
Well, yeah,
right?
back then when it
But
was
that, but
exciting and
I
new.
don't think anybody believed. Well, you still see it. Look at it. Look at Trump's tax cuts that he did last year. I mean, he cut the corporate tax rate
Mm.
to keep more money at the top because people thought, or people indicated that that is a mindset of, that's a a holdover from Reaganomics, that the more money corporations have, the more money that the top tier people have, the more money is going to come down into the rest of the economy. If they don't have to pay it in taxes, they're more likely to spend it elsewhere, is the
Well, I
thought.
mean, while it is true that they're more likely to reinvest into the business, I don't think that the employees are necessarily going to see, a lot of money.
Right.
Maybe some key people will get raises, but for the most part, I don't think that the employees are going to see much. But there is
No.
a good chance of them reinvesting, that money into the company.
I mean, the last 3 decades have been, the transition that we've gone through has proven that, even money going back into companies, as you said, the wages aren't going up. And in fact, in most places, people are seeing fewer and fewer raises.
Hmm.
And I'm even seeing companies that are going back to the old dime raise, a 10-cent raise. What
God,
the fuck is a 10-cent raise? You just gave me $4 extra on my
yeah,
paycheck?
I don't, yeah,
Wow.
I don't mean to brag, but for the past 3 years that I've been working with this company, I've only ever gotten dollar raises.
And that is, surprisingly enough, surprising.
It is really good.
It is not. It's not as common as it used to be.
Yeah, but
You
like I
know.
said, we're a small company, right? So he needs to heavily invest in his employees to keep them there and productive. So, and yeah, DN Monk, you're right. That's what most people think when they think of the 1%, but that's not what it is. It's not the Rothschilds necessarily. They're part of like the 0.01%. When they talk about the 1%, they're meaning anyone who makes $306,000 a year and up.
Well, I know now. Bezos is the 0.01% in the country now. He's the
Yeah, well, yeah,
0.01% in the world.
yeah.
But
In
but
fact,
you know,
compared to the rest of the world, anyone in America is in the one top 1%. I
but
mean,
but Amazon has proved that their employees are not as much of a priority as they used to be.
right.
Simply
Yeah,
from
I've heard
the
some pretty. I've heard horror stories about working for Amazon.
Well, I mean, even that $15 raise, they brought their employees up to $15 an hour last year, but in response to that as well, they cut benefits and they cut stock
Yeah,
options.
yeah, we talked about that.
So they traded off, right? So this is the kind of company that's making decisions that are not people friendly. Now that ultimately tells me that they're looking at a purely automated system. They're going to find a way to automate everything about this. Even to the extent of, I'm sure they're just champing at the bit to get their hands on self-driving vehicles.
Yeah. Well, they were talking about using drones for a while, and I think some of that got implemented, like in Seattle. But I'm not 100% on that. I haven't seen the story in a while, but I know they were talking about using delivery drones to, drop stuff off on your doorstep. Which is kind of funny. I mean, how long is it going to be until someone shoots one of those out of the sky? Starts grabbing gifts and stuff.
So let me ask you this: if and maybe or maybe somebody in the listening audience knows, Amazon's headquarters are in Seattle, but they are a global situation, right? They are a global entity. They have distribution points all over the world, etc. So, from a taxing standpoint, I know there's other countries in the world that have taxes
Hmm.
on their populace and companies. But are they only? Is Amazon only beholding to taxes here in the United States because that's where they're
The
headquartered?
headquarters. Um, no, I know that's how it works in the U.S. Is that where your headquarters is, you pay your taxes based on that state. Um, but for the rest of the world, I think you have to have a headquarters in each country that you're operating in. And so they would have like their headquarters in the UK, or they would have their headquarters in,
Right.
France or Spain or wherever else they are. I'm not actually sure what their actual reach is, but and they would pay that headquarters would pay that country's taxes, whatever they might be.
Right. Because I'm ultimately curious to find out if there are other places in the world where they had a tax burden and if they were able to get out of it. That's ultimately, and I'll look into that. I'll see if I can't do a little research. God, I hate doing research, but I'll do a little research and see
Yeah,
maybe unless somebody else knows. But I'm I'm curious to know if they did have a tax burden elsewhere in the world, and if they found some way to get out of those tax burdens as well, or if it's
right.
probably next to impossible to get out of them outside of the United States, because we make it too easy.
Yeah. Well, I know that they're also charged a lot more in taxes in other countries, especially in Europe. They have very high tax rates over there. They got
Yeah,
to pay for other socialist programs and such.
but they may not have to worry about anything but taxes on goods as they're bought and sold. That may be the only taxes they have to worry about in other countries because of where headquarters are at. But like I said, that's the real
Yeah,
question.
like I said, I think they have to have a headquarters in whatever countries they're in.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how the EU works with whether or not they have one headquarters in one EU country, or I don't know what the deal is with all that.
So, Michael Vega, did y'all watch the last two South Park episodes? They were literally about automation and not giving a fuck about workers. And the question, Michael, was I haven't seen those yet.
Yeah,
Were
I
they
saw
were
those.
they about Amazon or were they just
Yes,
oh
they were about Amazon
totally
specifically.
all automated Amazon stuff going on?
Yeah, yeah, basically.
Busting on the Alexa.
Yeah, they were pretty hilarious. I recommend them. I recommend South Park to begin with. I mean, I've seen every episode from the beginning all the way up to now.
And then
Been
damn
watching it for like what 20 years? I don't know.
most of your
Pretty close to
adult
20
life,
years.
most of your
Most of
life.
my childhood
And look what it's done to you.
since I was like 12. Yeah.
DM Monk says Reddit conspiracy post said he was about to sell a lot of his shares with this whole divorce drama. Who? Bezos? Is he divorced? Oh,
Bezos. I
because
don't know. I have no idea.
because of the potential dick
Makes
pics.
sense. Yeah. 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 He wants to hang on to that money, and then after the divorce settlement, he can cash in because she's about to take half. So
Well, Michael Vega. I have to tell you, you see something like that on South Park. This goes back to what I said about the 2020 election. There's one candidate who's going to be running on that platform. It's going to be one of the first candidates we see really pushing this platform of automation and the impact it could have on this country, and how we need to be
yeah.
prepared for it. I'm still highly curious about this guy to see what he has to say. Um,
Yeah. Speaking of that, he was just on Joe Rogan's podcast the other day. I haven't watched it yet. I've been meaning to, but if you want to see him talk like long form about what he wants to do, I recommend watching that. I recommend watching Joe Rogan anyway. He's awesome. But if you want to see, what was his name? Andrew Young, something like that.
Andrew Yang, I
Andrew
believe is what
Yang.
it was.
Yeah. Yeah. So he was on Joe Rogan a few days ago.
Okay, well I have
Definitely
to pull
check him
that
out.
up and see
Yeah.
because I'm really curious about this guy. And like I said, as long as he's not a Ben Carson, then we're then we might
Yeah.
have something to talk about and listen to. So the Reddit conspiracy, Tinchi goes on to say, I saw that, or Yeah, it says that Bezos got the mistress to leak photos on purpose so that he has to divorce, sell stocks, then share the profit with his wife under speculation that a market crash is incoming. I
Hmm.
don't know. Are
I would
we
have
in a
to.
scare
I'd have to
for a
read it.
market crash?
I don't know. I don't think. I don't know. I mean,
Because everything I'm hearing from the top says everything's going well and looking up, and we've got one of the best economies.
well,
I
we've been
believe the word
growing. Yeah.
was ever.
Well, it's been growing. In fact, he got what was it, 4.2% growth in GDP last year, which is really good because he was bragging about, oh, I'm going to get 3%. I'm going to get 3%, and everyone said he was being ridiculous, and then he got 4.2.
Well,
So I mean, it's the economy's growing. Whether or not it's going to crash, it can still crash, obviously, but
yeah,
it is growing.
a great economy to me is not a boom in the economy, knowing that it's gonna go back down again because that's typically how it does, right? The ups and
Yeah,
downs.
yeah. It always goes up and down. Yeah,
A good economy to me is a sustainable economy. Give me 2 solid decades of strong economy, and that's a good economy, right? That's
yeah.
something that's weathering multiple presidents. It's weird. You could probably graph it and look at presidential elections and rises and falls in presidential situations that really just make the market flow like a crazy bitch.
Yeah.
And fucking the only Midget says the only market crash is when people realize that Facebook and Twitter ain't worth shit and Apple ain't worth shit. That's our market crash.
Yeah, I agree. That
Um,
that would be insane if Silicon Valley started going down, all the big, huge tech companies. Which, I mean, Facebook's on its way out. I think it has maybe another 5 or 6 years left, and then it's gonna go the way of MySpace, and
uh,
then
Now,
uh,
as far as Apple not being worth shit, though, they did say something, and I'm paraphrasing here. This was a couple of weeks ago. They said something to the effect that in a post in a post-apocalyptic situation, if something drastic happened in the United States, most survivors, most people would be reliant on Apple devices. And I'm
how
sitting here and I'm
so?
thinking to myself, you know, you got to charge that shit. You've got to,
Right.
we're still talking an electronic device because my
Well, you
thought
gotta
is
charge
something,
it.
huh?
You gotta charge it. You gotta make sure it has service. You gotta pay
Service,
your
there's
bill
one,
still.
right?
You know,
I mean,
you're gonna pay your bill in bottle caps, like in Fallout. Is that what we're gonna do?
right. So are we
Like
talking
I
about,
got 3,600 bottle caps, man. Come on, let me have some service. Let me get some 4G.
are we talking like, are we talking like post apocalyptic 6 hours without power? That kind of situation. So for that 6 hours, most of the population will be using their iPhones.
That is actually post-apocalyptic in Florida. 6 hours without power.
Yeah,
That's it, man.
it
The whole
depends on
world's
what
gone to
time of the
shit.
year. Yeah.
Yeah, during
If it's
hurricane season especially.
if it's in the heart of winter, it's fine because you're only running at 80
Oh
degrees.
yeah,
The
yeah, exactly.
the
It's a
heart of
balmy
winter.
80,
It's a balmy 80 degrees here in the middle of winter.
as
Uh,
opposed to 1,017 degrees.
Snow should be falling soon elsewhere.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so now I'm curious what Amazon's gonna do about their HQ2, where they're gonna take this. But I really want to know: will the president respond to Amazon not paying taxes? Will he address this with the American public? Will he take a stance
Hmm.
against Bezos? Because he's already pulled the card that he wants Amazon looked at. He thinks they're growing too big. And that scares him, I think.
Hmm. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's anything he can do about it, especially if they're completely on the level. You can argue about the laws not being just, but if someone hasn't broken the laws that are on the book, there's really nothing you can do.
So I
So I
want.
mean, he might like, talk shit about them, but I don't really think there's anything that he can do.
I believe that this is going to cast more shadow on Trump's previous tax cuts that he made last year. Because my
Maybe.
guess is that those tax cuts were a part of the reason why Amazon was able to manage this again for a second year in a row. It was bad enough that they did it in 2017. But surprisingly enough, did you know they didn't pay taxes in 2017?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
didn't?
because yeah, the same story came up, you know, last year when they didn't pay taxes.
Because I think a lot of
So,
people didn't really pay attention to it.
well, I mean, people have a very short memory. Because
But
I
you,
think because people were pissed off last year too, you know. So, what are you
yeah,
gonna do?
yeah, it's a, it kind of reminds me, those momentary spikes, like when we were having the gas price hikes. They were really getting strong. What, 3 4 years ago, right? We were seeing some really high spikes, and we were expecting almost $5 a gallon here in Florida. Do you remember that going on for a while, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Especially throughout the middle of the 2000s and into the 20 teens, we were seeing some really high peaking gas prices. Yet
yeah.
BP oil is turning around uh, quarterly profits that were astounding in scope. It's
Mm,
like, how are you telling us that the gas is costing this much, yet you're raking in so much more in profit?
yeah. And we have from our very own Tenchi in the chat. We have we have a tweet from March 29th of 2018. It said, "I have stated my concerns with Amazon long before the election. Unlike others, they pay little or no taxes to state and local governments. They use our postal system as their delivery boy, causing tremendous loss to the U.S., and are putting many thousands of retailers out of business." So that was March 29th of last year. Uh,
Hey,
but as
uh,
far as I know, though, they actually use UPS a lot more than they use
well,
the USPS.
well, one thing about that, real quick, shout out Michael Vega. Have yourself a good night. Thanks for stopping by tonight,
Oh
buddy.
yeah, see you, man.
Hey, the problem though is, like, I don't know how much ordering you've done from Amazon, but I've watched this, from doing quite a bit. You may get something through Amazon, and it may originally ship by UPS or by FedEx, but
Hmm.
apparently UPS and FedEx also have a system set up where they pass the package off to the USPS. Like, I would get packages, it would originally start out at one of those two companies, but it wound up coming from the U.S. Postal Service. So
Huh.
they've got some sort of handoff in a lot of packages that they do with the USPS, because apparently I would guess because it's the burden of so many deliveries.
I've also gotten it. I've mostly gotten it from UPS. But I mean, that could also just be because there's a distribution center like a block away from me. So that could be it.
Well, I mean, ultimately that's going to go away. So he won't be able to make that argument whenever they open their own shipping,
Yeah.
right? So
Hmm.
once they've got planes and ships moving, which they should be very close to having that going on,
Yeah.
they're setting up all of their own delivery vehicles in local areas in major cities. I mean, I don't think I ever see anything that's not a blue Amazon van coming through the neighborhood, and we get a lot of Amazon deliveries coming through, right?
Yeah.
But it's typically the new blue Amazon vans that are all painted up. So, you know, what argument do you make? Where are we? You know, I don't know. You can't call that a monopoly just because they facilitate all their own services.
Hmm.
And ultimately, they don't stop anybody from doing business, because if you want to make money outside of
Just use
selling your
Amazon.
own shit, sell it through Amazon. Set
Yeah.
up. I mean, hell, major appliance companies are doing this. They're starting to sell stuff through Amazon as well as just another avenue to move their product. So Amazon's not, they're not facilitating small businesses. They're not shutting them down. They're not running
Well,
them out of
they
business.
kind of are in a way. They're stopping the brick and mortar stores that are around. Everything's got to be online now, which is unfortunate for like your local, comic book store, your local game, store, or your local arts and crafts store, whatever whatever gay shit you're into.
I don't know, John. I don't agree that is Amazon doing that so much as it's the nature of running a business these days. If you can save the overhead of a
Oh
building
yeah, of course.
and storing product, et cetera, et cetera, I
Hmm.
mean, opening up an online marketplace is the smarter thing to do.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm not saying it's malicious on Amazon's part.
Well,
I think
right.
it's just the natural progression of what of how we do business now.
Well,
How we
think
how we get products that we want.
I don't think if Amazon were there, whatever gay shit you're into, I don't, I don't,
Yeah.
I think if Amazon wasn't in the picture, this progression would still be happening. We would still be seeing a lot fewer brick and mortar stores going in, because of the option of opening an online marketplace and the savings involved with that. Now
Mm.
you can start up a business for $10,000 versus 100,000.
Yeah.
So that's very attractive to a small business owner. All they
Yeah,
have to do
absolutely.
is get computer savvy. Um, and I've often thought that from a retail standpoint, you're going to see a lot more retail going away just because of the internet.
Mm.
Because it's just, especially as we
Yeah.
get more along the lines of being able to self model clothes on the internet, et cetera. So, Amazon is not, I don't, they're not doing anything that speaks to monopoly. And I understand the points that Trump made in that, but they really don't hold water. You can't say you're choking up the U.S. postal system and costing money when, you know, that's an avenue that's being made available. That's what you have to ship through. I mean, it's
Hmm.
not your fault that thousands, millions of people are ordering shit and they need it shipped some way. You've got to use what's
Yeah.
available, right?
Hmm.
Um, Tinchi says, problem is Amazon is just an advanced form of a problem that has existed for a while. If you want a video game, you're lucky if there's a mom and pop store. Otherwise, it's Walmart or GameStop. And that's
I
true.
mean, he's right about that. Yeah.
But again, if you want a mom and pop store anymore, there's thousands of them online. That is where the mom and pop stores are now. It's just easier. How many places could you go that are not Walmart or GameStop or Amazon and buy a video game
Yeah.
online?
I mean, I get all my games through Steam,
Right.
so I mean,
So,
it's also it's another online, retailer basically,
right.
but just for games.
But if you want, you can, in a lot of cases, you can go directly to the game manufacturer and
Hmm.
download the game from them. Buy it
Yeah,
directly through the internet from them.
you
Right?
could. Yeah.
So technically that game maker, they're a mom and pop store for the digital age.
Mm, not like the AAA game devs. They're I wouldn't call them mom and pop shop just
Well,
because they're
well,
huge.
but they're not huge like in comparison to Amazon. So
No, but
they're a
in
mom
their
and pop
industry, they're
compared to
big.
Amazon. So I'm just talking about in the online realm. They would be
Hmm.
the mom and pop as far as from a sales standpoint. They're a small seller. There's thousands of these small sellers out there. You don't have to go through GameStop, Walmart, or Amazon to get your games, your books, things like this. You can find
Hmm.
small places to get them. Etsy is a good example of this.
Yeah.
All the Shopify, WooCommerce, all of these things that go on these different websites where people are just constantly starting up their own little business online. Some of them are getting big, some of them don't go anywhere, but it is the digital mom and pop store now, and it's available to
Sure.
everyone, and it's easier for everyone, to do that. So I don't think the mom and pop stores are going away. They're just going away in real time,
Yeah,
not
like I said,
not in digital time.
the brick and mortar stores are in danger, but so I mean, it kind of affects the sense of community, especially if you're into these, especially if you're into gaming and comic books or whatever. You can't go down to your local shop anymore and buy something and hang out with people and whatever. It's all online now.
I mean, ultimately, the only recourse that could possibly try and save mom and pop or save brick and mortar retail, in my opinion, is if small businesses pulled a class action lawsuit against the internet, because it's the internet as a whole that is doing it. That's going to put them out of business. It's not who's the biggest seller on the internet. It's the internet as a whole is
Yeah,
why you're seeing fewer and fewer brick and mortar stores going in
yeah,
or
no, absolutely.
succeeding, right?
It's just a matter of who was going to be on top, not the fact that someone's on top, therefore it's killing the stores. It's someone was going to be on top, and it was just the stores were going to die anyway. Eventually, as soon as you had places like eBay, you know, uh, or Amazon when it first started, I mean, it was much more convenient to just order something and have it sent to you than it is to actually go and try and find it. And maybe they don't have it, whatever, and you have to wait for them to put it on back order. It's a lot easier just to be like, click, buy, send it to me.
Now, see, Tinchie's pointing out there was something that was on PBS NewsHour about a
Hmm.
Walmart, a small town that had a Walmart come in 20 years ago, or for that was there for 20 years, and said it killed all the small businesses in the town, and then Walmart closed down and left nothing in the town. They returned 3 years after the place closed, and a few businesses
Hmm.
had opened, but nothing like it had been before Walmart got there. Um,
Yeah,
and that's
I
a
mean they'll recover, I'm sure, but yeah, I mean that is unfortunate about having some of these huge stores opening up. That just kind of drive all the other business out.
well, it's one of those things though. Like if that's where, and that's the thing about the free market, right? That's where it comes down to is like enough people made the choice to shop at Walmart
Hmm.
after making the choice to allow the Walmart to come into their community, because that still has to, someone still has to say it's okay for that to happen.
Right. I mean,
There's
did
still
anyone
zoning.
protest?
Who
You
knows?
know what I mean? Like if
Right.
people were protesting it and people went to the city council meetings and were like, "Hey, we don't want Walmart here." You know what I mean? It would have been a lot more likely that they wouldn't have made it in.
But it depending on if this happened over 20 years ago. I mean
And you didn't
maybe they don't
know
see the
about.
impact of what a Walmart could
Yeah.
do. You're not seeing this. Maybe enough small businesses weren't really having enough foresight. But the fault is, I don't see the fault of on the retailer. This is a fault of the market. The demand went to Walmart. But the question is why, what happened that there wasn't enough sustainable profit for Walmart to stay?
People probably stopped going there. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen the video that he's
Well,
to, but
I mean,
either
Walmart.
people stopped going there or like they agreed to stop going there out of protest for them killing the businesses. Maybe they couldn't afford to go there anymore because all the shops were closing down, so the jobs were leaving, and there's only so many jobs at Walmart. It could be a number of things.
I would hazard a guess to say that it was a self-defeating situation for Walmart, because when they eventually drove everybody else out of business, which makes sense, it's a natural thing
Hmm.
that's going to happen. When all those places go out of business, a population drops because people aren't running a business there anymore. So,
Right.
but there wasn't enough profit margin generating anymore for the Walmart, because probably not enough population incline or
Hmm.
increase, and so they pull out. And it was directly related to them coming in the first place, because they drove away enough populace that they didn't see enough market share to stay. That's my
Yeah.
guess, because I do know from an insider standpoint that if a store could be making money and they'll still close it down if it's not making
Hmm.
enough money. Yet they'll
Right.
turn around and they'll leave certain stores open that they expect to operate at a loss.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, right near you, there's actually a Walmart there in AS
Mm.
that it's a Division One. It's one of their small ones. Never went super center or anything like that, but they keep it open uh, because they can't get approved for another one in that area to build a
Mm.
super center, but they want to maintain a presence there, so they operate the
That-
store at a loss.
yeah. And they can afford to do that. Yeah.
Right. But just like they can turn around and afford to pull out of a town, but they, it's but is that's again a Walmart coming in is a lot different than Amazon. I mean,
Hmm.
Walmart, brick and mortar versus a digital footprint. These are, Amazon was never a brick and mortar footprint. It's
Right.
always been a digital entity. It's never shut down other businesses. It's always been very inclusive and said, "Hey, why don't we bring businesses on to sell with us?" So it's, my bigger concern is is what they do with the power of the corporation.
Hmm.
How how much do they gain control politically speaking? Like, how much influence do they carry in Washington? Or how much will they
Yeah.
begin to carry in Washington? Because we know money talks, and eventually
Oh, yeah.
they're going to be the loudest money possible.
Yeah.
So it's something to keep our eyes open for. Amazon, as Tenchi says, Amazon is literally in your home, and it is.
Only if you allow them.
Well,
It's like the Holy Spirit, doesn't go where it's not invited.
so it's interesting that the direction it's going. I don't know. I think they could take over. I think they could take it all over. I'm waiting for the day when they say they make an offer for Walmart.
Oh yeah,
I
that would
will.
be insane.
I'll forecast it to
What
happen within the
didn't
next,
they
but by
didn't they
2030.
open like an Amazon store, like an actual brick and mortar store,
Oh yes, Amazon
in
Go.
Seattle?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and they were supposed to they were using that as a pilot, and it was a positive enough impact that they plan on opening 3,000 of these
That's right. Yeah,
between now and 2021, I believe
I
is what
remember.
they said.
I think it was Tim Pool, but I can't remember if it was or not. But one of them, well, somebody did like a video about how easy it was to steal from one of them,
Sure, and
like how it was really easy.
but their entire policy is very loose when it comes to like returns and lost merchandise. So it's not
Well,
that
it's
surprising that you could just walk out with some stuff. But that
because I think you
technology
only got
will.
a certain amount of. I think you only have a certain amount of returns,
Well,
or
now, yeah, they've
before
put some
your account
cappage
starts
on
getting
there.
flagged. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, but that's just one of those things. But they're going to improve. They'll improve technology. I mean, stand by your game there.
yeah,
They're gonna have it improved enough to where even if you put something in your pocket, there'll be some way that it'll scan it on the way out the door.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
you know, but
yeah.
no, the model's been somewhat successful for them. It stands to see how successful from the growth that they wanted to do because it's just gonna dot blow up, right? And then there are going to be 3,000 of them all over the country, and you can just walk in and walk out and get your stuff. At the same time, though, ironically, I was just seeing, I saw an article early in the week that was talking about grocery stores who are getting rid of their self checkout lanes.
Mm.
Nobody, no really really big retailers, but some mid-size, a couple of mid-size and some smaller retailers talking about getting rid of those self-checkouts because of just the issues they cause. They do leave an open door for theft, and it doesn't affect a very customer-friendly environment. Like places are literally taking them out. Some that were going to get them, they're like, oh no, we've decided not to. We want to take these out. We want that one-on-one customer experience to come back. We want to maintain that. I think it's a little too late to try and hold on to the customer interaction experience because
Yeah.
we're becoming a society that wants less of that in-your-face customer situation because that causes too many, I don't know, mass shootings.
Well, the irony of that though is that once most things are automated, then we're gonna have this like nostalgia for face to face communication with whatever retail workers were are around, and then someone's gonna open a business being like, look, we have human employees, and that'll be like some novelty.
Wouldn't it be funny if what it actually turned into was like everybody, all these different major companies started having Genius bars? So, like the Genius bar at the Apple Store, right?
Hmm.
So, instead you have a Genius bar for someone, say like Walmart, because they've gone away from all brick and mortar and they're automating and going online. You go in and sit down and you have people that you can interact with face to face that help you place your order and help you
Yeah.
navigate through. Oh, if you're having difficulty using our online portal, come in and make an appointment at our
A Genius bar,
Our Weenus bar,
Venus bar. Yeah.
and we'll walk you through it, and you'll still get some of that face to face interaction you're longing for.
Yeah. And Dian Monk says, "Damn, John, quotes for days." Yeah, I only speak in quotes. I don't even know any other way to speak. So,
Aren't you technically always quoting yourself
yeah,
with everything you say?
absolutely.
Isn't that yeah, technically.
Yeah,
Self checkout. Oops, forgot to scan this steak. Right?
right.
Yeah, that's the way you want to go. You forget to scan that steak. Those
Yep.
things are aggravating, though, man. You try and use some of those self checkouts; they're aggravating as fuck.
Oh yeah, they're garbage. And the person who works there has to usually come around and help you anyway. So it's like, why not just
Right.
fucking do it?
See, I like.
God damn it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Bring back the good old days.
Oh God, I'm getting flashbacks since you wrote "return item to begging
Oh
area."
God, I hate that. That's horrible.
What a dickhead! Oh man, yeah, that's awful.
Yeah, I can't understand what they want me to do with this stuff. Do you want me to put it over here in this bag, take it off, put it back? What do you mean there's too many items? You scanned all the same
Yeah.
ones that are on the pad? What do you mean there's too many items? Oh, the bag?
Yeah.
Is it the bag? Is it that
Yeah.
very lightweight plastic bag?
It's
Is that
accidentally
throwing you
yeah.
off?
There's actually two bags. It's registering as an extra product.
Can I get one with a lower sensitivity, please? Can I get that?
Yeah, Jesus, oh my God.
But anyway, so John, there's Amazon for you. So one of the two things that we talked about tonight is going to wind up taking over the world. It'll either be the Orange Man or it'll be the Prime
With the
Man.
Bezos.
The Prime Man. He is
Yeah.
Prime Man. I don't know why he doesn't call himself that. But anyway, so prepare yourself for that in our post-apocalyptic world.
That's right. Prepare your buttholes.
There'll still be deliveries in
lube.
2 hours.
Yeah. And you're burned out a shell of a house. At least,
Amazon
at least you
van
gotta
rolling
get-
up.
yeah.
Zombie piling out with your shit.
Yeah.
Free zombie labor.
And like sign, instead of
Sign
brain.
here.
Yeah. Sign here. Yeah.
All right. So anyway, hey, folks, I appreciate you coming out and listening to our bullshit tonight. We're glad to have all of you. Glad to see some good interaction from you folks. But I'm tired of talking. I don't like John in the first place.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to do this anymore. But hey, if you like John, hit the like button. If
Yeah,
you
yeah.
haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. Invite your friends to drop in and see the show, and follow us on Twitter. John, there's a Twitter. What is it?
It's at the Gen Gap P.
And what are you going to have set up? Hopefully by Monday.
Yeah, we're gonna have our Discord server set up on Monday. So if you don't have an account, go ahead and make one. And starting on Monday, there will be a link in the description to go to Discord.
Sweet.
And it'll be fun. We'll have a good time. I'll show up there probably once in a while, in the general chat, and we can chat about stuff and whatnot. It'll be a good time.
It'll be like we have friends.
It'll be almost like we have friends. Not sure what that's like though.
Well, as long as they're on the other side of the computer, they're very close
Yeah.
friends.
As long as they're not anywhere near me physically, though.
Right?
That's
I don't
okay.
want to see you.
Yeah,
I
they
don't want
can-
to talk to you.
Right. Right. Well, no, I'll talk to
All
them.
right,
because I don't
yeah.
wanna see it.
Not face to face though.
No,
we
not
don't
in
want face to
person.
face. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, John, thanks for stopping by. Glad to talk to you. We will expect to see folks on Monday night around 9 o'clock. We may or may not have a guest star on the show. And if we do
Yep.
not, then it'll just be John and the pretty boy hanging out and shooting the shit with you. But
That's right.
other than that, John, I'm going to piece the hell out of here. And
Yep.
you have
Also,
yourself a
remember
good night.
to go and harass Short Fedataku. Make sure he comes on the show.
That's right.
Don't let him get away with it.
Harassment is
Yep.
what's for dinner. All right, folks. On that note, we're out of here. I'll see you later.
Yep. See you guys.